I watched Citizen Kane, and hear me out. Okay, so get this right. I know there's a certain way to look at movies and go like, hey, there's many ways to interpret different kinds of blah 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 whatever, right? Art, there's many ways to look at it. I mean, I could not believe it at first, especially because I used to watch movies just for the sake of watching them. I mean, think about it. You don't exactly watch a movie like Pacific Rim and go, "Oh, those big robots are a sign of mental like problems, depression or whatever." No, it's not symbolizing anything. It's just cool big robots fighting kaiju's, right? And I got into Citizen Kane thinking it was just some old movie, that was just well produced or whatever. But then I thought about it. At first I watched it, I was like, yeah, this is a 7 out of 10, right? This is the most 7 out of 10 movie I've ever seen. But then I actually used my fucking brain. Like I was like, wait, I started wondering like what each part of the story meant. And hear me out, right? I'm gonna be honest with you, okay? I don't think I can even tell you spoilers. I don't think this movie can be spoiled because it's not that kind of movie. It's a very different movie from all the things I've ever watched. I'm not exactly a movie fanatic, I don't watch movies every fucking day. I've watched my share of movies though. I've watched a lot of movies. I love movies. Movies are cool. And this Citizen Kane is not like any other because it actually changed my mind, like the inner workings of my mind, like how I see things. So hear me out. Okay. The story goes, here's the simple part of the story, right? Charles Foster Kane, the main character, is sold off by his parents because they found a mining company, whatever. And this rich guy took him in, and he was gonna give him all of these companies, and instead he took in what was the Inquirer, the newspaper company or whatever. And he took over, and he wanted people to like him. He was running for governor and everything, and that failed. So yeah, that was it. Like if you watch the movie with a blank brain, if you watch the movie with a blank brain, that's about all you're gonna get, right? It doesn't get more complex than that. But look, they start talking about Rosebud, right? If you watch the movie, you'll know what I mean. And it is revealed at the end of the movie that Rosebud is the writing on the sled he used to have as a kid, right? And I was like, okay, this is the dumbest ending ever. I don't know what the fuck that means. But again, I thought about it, right? Oh my god, this dude. Now, hear me out very well. This dude collected statues because he loved having people around him. You ever thought about it that way? Like he loved having people around him. He liked people looking at him. He wanted people to listen and look at him, but he had this ego where he didn't see them as the average person. Like he didn't see them as human. He saw them as statues. They just took in info. Like I don't, I don't know how to explain this in a way that will make you appreciate it. But okay, look. So he his last dying words were Rosebud, right? That was his last word, like Rosebud. Rosebud was his sled, which is the only thing he had. Like that was the only thing he owned in his life before being pawned off, right? So I think, especially because the statues were surrounding all the junk in the end, the sled and everything, I thought about it. I was like, oh my god, this probably symbolizes the fact that all the people he ever gathered around him just for his ego, just to feel loved again because his parents abandoned him and everything, right? Nobody helped them. They were just statues. They just watched as he fell like from grace, right? Just like statues. They don't move. They just see. And above all the trash heap that was burned after he died was Rosebud. And I think that symbolizes the fact that in his pursuit of like love, or rather, like being loved, the pursuit of attention or whatever, he lost himself, right? Rosebud, the one thing he actually owned in his life, was thrown away like garbage, like with the other trash he collected, right? He got all these mansions and everything because, he gave all of his property away to his wife, to his second wife, the singer, because he thought love was transactional because that's the only thing he knows as a kid. He was pawned off and he believed it was love. Like, you ever thought about that? Like, what the fuck was this movie, right? And then I thought about it. I was like, yep, this is a 10 out of 10. This is a 10 out of 10 movie. Because it symbolizes so fucking much. And it's not like one of those Jackson Pollock paintings where you go, oh my god, the red contrasting with blue means my ass is whatever, right? No, this movie actually meant something, and I liked it a lot, and I recommend that you watch it if you haven't. Um, yeah, I was gonna talk about Jed, like what Jed meant to Kane. He was his only quote unquote friend, I guess. Jed did say in the interview that, like, you know, I don't know if Kane has friends, but if I were dead, he wouldn't have any. That's what he said, right? And that's what Charles's life feels like. Like, none of the people he gathered around him were his friends, even his wives. Like, if you thought about it, both of his wives were just stepping stones for him. They were purely symbolic. Like, he never thought of them as a love interest. You know, he just used them. The president's niece, I believe, and then he married the singer. He never exactly thought about what, like, the hurt they went through trying to appease him or whatever. You know what I mean? Especially the singer, she went through a lot because everyone thought she was a shit singer, and she was being ridiculed. But she sang. She sang and sang, and in the end, it all fell apart. And yeah, he did the only sensible thing he could do and destroyed everything in his room. And he fucking went crazy because, that's his outlet, I guess. He's a very corrupted person. But wow. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for listening to my yap. I guess I'll do more videos like this maybe. I don't know.